Hey guys, my top 3 secrets to get her to change how she feels about you are going to feel really counterintuitive and uncomfortable for you, especially if you are a nice guy. But these are the 3 most important things you must do if you want to get and keep your Ashley. Welcome to Just the Tip Tuesday. Here's what happens. Maybe you can relate. Tim meets Ashley, and she seems like everything he's ever wanted in a girl. She's fun, she's funny, she's easygoing, she's sexy, she's beautiful, and she makes him feel good when he's with her. She laughs at his jokes, quickly replies to all his texts, and is anxious to spend time with him. But almost suddenly, her demeanor starts to change. You've probably experienced this, haven't you? If you have already, write it in the comments below. She starts to become less talkative and is a bit more quiet when she's around Tim. She doesn't reply quite as quickly. And it even seems like her humor is starting to get a little bit sarcastic or mean-spirited. What's up with that? So because she's so amazing, and he for sure thought this was going to be the one, panic starts to sink in. And Tim feels Ashley pulling away and he doesn't know what to do about it. He doesn't know what he's done wrong. They seemed to agree on everything. He was messaging her good morning, beautiful, every day. He always replied to her messages right away. And he was always up for getting together whenever she wanted to. So, of course, none of this makes sense. And he just wants to know what he did wrong. So he asks her, did I do something wrong? Wah, wrong answer. But you'll see why in a minute. And I know it seems like, well, what is the right answer? Well, I'm going to give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. But then he doesn't hear from her for a day. So what does he do? He's like, well, maybe she didn't get it, or maybe she was busy, or who knows what. So he sends another message, pretending like nothing's wrong. He says, hey, what's up? And she replies, oh, just busy lately. Talk soon. Uh-oh, what's going on? There's no happy face emojis or hearts or butterflies or any other emojis women, and sometimes men, often exchange when they're in the heat of passion. Well, maybe not the heat of passion, but when they're enamored with each other. So here's what happened. Tim emotionally overinvested in Ashley, and he did it way too soon in the relationship. This is super common, especially at the beginning when there is interest coming back towards you, when you're both in lust with each other and can't get enough of each other. So how to change how she feels about you starts with not overly investing from the very beginning. And this means you're going to have to pull way back to get her back. In fact, you shouldn't ever over-invest in a woman. But of course, that's not to say you don't invest at all, because relationships do require emotional investment. There's a difference between healthy investment and unhealthy over-investment. Because here's what can happen. If you put too much emotional investment in a woman too early on, she's going to quickly start to feel smothered. Key point. A woman needs to feel like she is choosing you, which means if a woman starts to feel like she's relenting to your needy attachment to her, it won't feel like a choice to her because, and this is another key point, when a man acts needy, desperate, or overly attached ever, but especially too soon, she feels he's not choosing her, who she really is, but he's just choosing whoever shows up to take him without really investigating if she's worthy of him. To avoid her feeling this way and to change her feeling this way, if it hasn't gotten too far already, you need to do 3 things. 1, disagree with her. What? 2, initiate communication less often. And 3, be less available. But Anna, those feel like manipulative bad boy tactics. I'm not into games. I'm out. Wait, hold on, hear me out. If you can relate to Tim, you really need to hear this, so stick with me. Remember, I told you they're going to seem counterintuitive, but they're going to make sense in a minute. So let's go through disagree with her. When you meet someone, and it seems like you have so much in common. You have everything in common, your opinions, your beliefs, your philosophies, your ideas. It can feel like you've met your soulmate. However, women know you're not always going to agree on everything. That would be really boring. What do women need? Stimulation, but I talked about that in another video. But generally, she knows at some point you're going to disagree on something, and it might be something important. And subconsciously, she needs to know how you're going to handle that. So if you don't show any signs of disagreement, she doesn't know how you're going to handle that. And even more important, key point, if she feels like you don't have your own opinions, beliefs, philosophies, ideas, then she's going to have to lead the relationship. Even if you want an alpha woman, she wants to know you have an opinion that she can consider. But there's also another reason why you should disagree with her. And in fact, it's a thread that runs through all three of these. So I'll save it for the end. And I've actually already kind of mentioned it. So if you think you know what it is, write it in a comment. Number 2, initiate less. What's the Wingmam motto? If you've been here for a while, you know the Wingmam motto is always leave them wanting more. In order for them to want more, you have to, of course, give them enough, but you can't give it all to them. Not in that sense. You just want to give them enough to whet their appetite. And some other parts. Anyway, moving on. Remember, women are more attracted to men whose feelings about them are unclear. Why? They want to be the one to choose. They want to be the one to chase. They want to be the one to get you. Which means you need to let her chase you more than you pursue her. And yes, there's a difference between chasing and pursuing, and I'll put that video at the end. And again, this ties into the thread that runs through all three of these strategies to change how she feels about you in a positive way. Of course, if Ashley is really attracted to Tim, she's going to love those good morning texts. But not if Tim always initiates all other communication as well. You gotta let her initiate sometimes. In fact, especially at the beginning, probably 2 out of 3 times. If you're in a solid frame of mind, this is going to come naturally. But if you tend to get overly attached or excited or enthusiastic about a girl early on, then use the 1 out of 3 times rule of thumb. And, of course, along the lines, leave her wanting more is to be less available. If you are always available, whenever she wants, or in all of your spare time trying to get together with her, she's going to feel like she holds all the power in the relationship. Because she does. And by default, key point, if you're always available for her, then it shows you don't have a life. And if you don't have a life, you're not at risk to any other woman trying to get you. There's no competition. If there's no competition and she doesn't have to work to get you, is she really choosing you? Or is she just taking the free grocery bag? Okay, bad analogy, but you get my point. If you do have value to her and she is interested, she'll pay more attention to you. She'll initiate more if she knows you're out in the world being exposed to other potential viable mates. Not only that, but if you don't have a life, she's going to have to be your life. That's a burden. So there's no competition and she feels smothered. What's the Wingman motto? Do you remember? Write it in the comments below. Okay, now here's where we tie it all together. What happens when you work hard for something? When you finally get it, you appreciate it all the more. And key point, the more you work toward it, the more effort it requires to get it, the more you feel like it was your choice to go for it. The more Ashley needs to work to get you, the more effort it takes for her to get you, the more she feels like she's the one choosing you. Whoa, I know, I told you, counterintuitive. So in order for her to feel like she's won the prize, you have to feel like you are the prize. And you just have to give her just enough for her to know what she will win when she does get that prize. You. Now, if you are that guy who went all in too soon, then you'll definitely want to watch my video on should you ignore a woman. I think you'll be surprised by what I have to say in it. Thanks for being here. God bless.